Welcome friends, this is Max Digital here, and in this video I'm going to compare the Apple iPhone 12 Pro Max to the new Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro. Let's get into it. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the price. The flagship iPhone 12 Pro Max is a whopping $1,100 plus tax. So this is the biggest iPhone available for the iPhone 12 lineup, and it shows in that $1,100 price tag plus you add in tax. This is close to $1,200 in US dollars. While the Redmi Note 10 Pro has a measly price of $260. Now, it's going to be a little bit different depending on where you order it from. If you're in the US and you want to order this phone, it's going to be kind of difficult because it's more of an international phone. So depending on what site you buy it from, the price may vary. But regardless, that $260 price for the Redmi Note 10 Pro is way lower than the iPhone. So definitely the Redmi Note 10 Pro has a lot more appeal with that price. The next thing is the weight of these devices. The iPhone 12 Pro Max weighs 228 grams or 8.04 ounces, while the Redmi Note 10 Pro weighs 193 grams, and that translates to 6.81 ounces. So the iPhone 12 Pro Max is definitely heavier than the Redmi phone. The iPhone 12 Pro Max is basically half a pound. So that's a lot of phone in your pocket. It makes the Redmi Note 10 Pro very lightweight by comparison. So next is the SIM card availability on these phones. The iPhone 12 Pro Max has a single physical SIM card slot and an eSIM, so it is a dual SIM phone, but that's different for Chinese variants. You could have two dual physical SIM cards, so depending where you get this device, it's going to be different on dual SIM functionalities. And the Redmi Note 10 Pro comes with the international standard, which is a dual SIM. So you have two physical SIM cards in the phone. Both of these phones are basically good if you want to have two different data plans, two different phone numbers. It's good for travelers. So you got options on both of these devices. For dust and water resistance, the iPhone 12 Pro Max has an IP68 rating. It's resistant up to 6 meters for 30 minutes, while the Redmi Note 10 Pro has IP53 dust and splash protection. So the iPhone is going to have a full submersion rating, while the Redmi phone has a splash resistance. So it's not a phone that should be fully submerged in water. Now for the screens, the iPhone 12 Pro Max has a Super Retina XDR OLED display, which has 800 nits for the regular brightness and 1200 nits for the peak. The Redmi Note 10 Pro has an AMOLED display. It has 120 hertz, has 450 nits average, and also has 1200 nits peak brightness. The iPhone 12 Pro Max, display size is 6.7 inches, which has 87% screen to body ratio. The Redmi Note 10 Pro has 6.67 inch screen, which has 85% screen to body ratio. So both of these phones have similar specs in the screen size. Next is resolution. The iPhone 12 Pro Max has a 1284 by 2778 pixel resolution with 458 ppi density. while the Redmi Note 10 Pro has a full HD screen, so that's 1080 by 2400 pixels, and it has PPI of 395. For the chipset, the iPhone uses an Apple A14 Bionic chip, the newest and greatest and fastest chip from Apple, while the Redmi Note 10 Pro has Android 11 with the MIUI skin on top. So the iOS version of Apple's operating system is the same across all the phones, while the Android 11 software on the Redmi phone with MIUI 12, that's going to be a different flavor of Android that's on top of stock. So this phone is really going to feel different from other Android phones. The iPhone 12 Pro Max starts at 128 gigs of storage with no expandability. The Redmi phone has a micro SD card slot option and starts with internal storage of 64 gigs. So you have way more options on the Redmi phone than the iPhone. The iPhone has 6 gigs of RAM, while the Redmi Note also has 6 gigs of RAM. For the cameras, the iPhone 12 Pro Max has a triple camera setup on the back. All three are 12 megapixels. We have a main one, a telephoto lens, and an ultra wide lens. While the Redmi phone has a main camera of a whopping 108 megapixels. It also has a 8 megapixel ultra wide camera, 5 megapixel macro camera, and 2 megapixel depth camera. Both of the devices shoot up to 4K video. For the selfie camera, the iPhone has a 12 megapixel shooter, while the Redmi Note 10 Pro has a 16 megapixel shooter on the front for the selfie. And both of these can shoot crispy video, except the iPhone could shoot up to 4K on the selfie, and it's 1080p on the Redmi. The iPhone does not have a headphone jack, while the Redmi phone does have an option for a headphone jack. So you have more options on the Redmi phone if you want physical headphones, if you want to connect it to your car with aux, or if you just want a microphone. There's just more options instead of getting a dongle like on the iPhone. For Bluetooth, the iPhone has Bluetooth 5.0, while the Redmi phone has Bluetooth 5.1. The iPhone has NFC, but it's mostly used for Apple Pay, while the Redmi phone has a more traditional NFC, but it depends on which market or region you're in. Now, to unlock these devices, they're a little bit different. The iPhone uses Face ID. It solely relies on Face ID. There's no button, there's no fingerprint reader. The Redmi phone has a side-mounted fingerprint reader. Next is battery. The iPhone 12 Pro Max has a 3687 milliamp battery, and the Redmi phone has a 5020 milliamp battery. So very different amounts of battery in these phones, but it's safe to say both of these should last all day. If you manage to need a recharge on the phone and you drain the battery very quickly, both of these phones offer fast charging. The iPhone 12 Pro Max fast charges at 20 watts, which would give you 50% in 30 minutes, while the Redmi phone has fast charging at 33 watts. That should give you around 60% in 30 minutes. And the iPhone also has Qi magnetic charging, and it works with MagSafe as well. So that's been a comparison of the iPhone 12 Pro Max and the Redmi Note 10 Pro. The biggest differences are going to be the price of these phones. The iPhone is $1,100 while the Redmi phone is right around $260. So you can get like 4 of the Redmi phones for the price of the iPhone. The other thing that stands out is the 108 megapixel camera on the Redmi phone. So thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.